afternoon and welcome to those future viewers of this short presentation, which will be posted on YouTube after some editing. Today is Saturday, August the 31st, around 6 p.m., 5:30 p.m. Today's presentation would be related to the election in this country, and I could start with many years ago when 1975-6 one Democrat in California decided to run for the office of the governor as a Republican. He won, and then later on, 4 years later, he became a president of the United States. And when he was being provoked and asked why did he left the Democratic Party, he replied, "No, I did not leave the Democratic Party. Actually, the Democratic Party left me." And he was a very good president, successful one. And 35 years later, in 2015, other guy who was lifetime supporter of the politicians of Democratic Party, who he contributed quite a bit to many of them, and everybody liked his money, he announced he is going to run for the presidency on the Republican ticket. And he was being laughed at of the leaders of the party and enemy of the party, as well of the mainstream media, to which they were giving him 3% of the chances to win residency, because opponent to him were 16 other established politicians of the United States Congress with a fancy name, fancy reputation, everything like that, because they were spending years in the Congress. And John Oliver, one comedian, I don't know if that comedian or not, he was sarcastically yelling, "Go, go, go, run! I will send you contribution, just run!" And 3% will be sufficient to give him a chance of winning. And 16 other candidates, one by one, dropped down, 14 of them, and less 3 or 2 of them were running against candidates Trump, who basically was leading. And his own party, thanks to the party rules, awkward rules similar to democratic rules, had a provision that if he doesn't win 50% plus one, they have a full right to deny him the nomination, and they could put anybody of their choosing, even somebody who was never running for the office, which is right now happening in Democratic Party, with the party will never run or receive any vote from any of the constituents. Vice President Kamala Harris, and she didn't receive any vote for the 4 years ago when she was running directly for the president as a candidate, as a senator of state of California, and now she didn't run anything. She picked up the votes and the money from the President Biden, who was being forced to step down without resigning as a president, which is awkward as well. And Republican Party in 2016 or 15, 16, basically they were planning to replace him if he doesn't have a 50% plus one, which basically is the rule of the party. But they were already planning replacement of him, and they were planning to put Mike Pence for presidency, and he was a governor of state of Indiana, and Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House from Minnesota, as a running mate vice presidential candidate. That means that they were already plotting against Trump. The party was not happy with his language and his straight talk to the people, and I am one of those who did like and still like his talking. He's straight shooter. What he means, he says it. Not like the rest of the politicians all the time in white gloves, nice things saying and other things doing. And the 50 plus 1 was exceeded, and they didn't have a choice but accept him as a nominee. But they were successful to push him the candidate for the vice presidency and that was Mike Pence, snake, who was being planted to be his running mate, like a blackmail, take it or leave it. We will not support you if you don't take our candidates. And he accepted and came to the office of White House with a total stranger without knowing anybody, and he could not possibly know knowledge or capacity on the or integrity or of the competency of any of those officials which we call deep state. All those people in White House were already there, plenty there, and I will specifically specify two twin brothers of the Ukrainian descent who were basically colonels in military of the United States, and two of them identical, and how do you know which one is which? And I don't know, he was even aware there are twins of them, who later on created grounds to start impeachment first or second time, I don't know, against him, but failed again. Now he was being kicked out from the second term because of the world's mafia dictating the present internal mafia of the Democratic and Republican parties, puppets of the world's mafia, to basically steal the election from the President Trump for the second term. And they fulfill promise of the George Soros that President Trump will be one-term president, and they succeeded, where President Biden, lifetime of through the campaign time, being in the basement of his house in the Delaware, in Wilmington, and Trump was getting out around, even though there were COVID time, and having 40 to 50,000 followers all the time, and then he made about 5 million more votes than he did 4 years before. But President Biden received 10 million more votes than the very famous popular President Obama, who was good speaker and good talker, but President Biden was all the time in the basement of his house in Delaware, and he won the presidency not willingly, but somebody else did it for him. I don't think so he himself steal anything, but mafia around him did that, just to contrary to the President Trump, who is now running for the office again, and he has a good chance to win it. But world mafia is still working full capacity, pouring the money to the campaign of Kamala, who never in her lifetime created one single private entity job, all the time being on the manger of the national treasury from the taxpayers' money, never created anything, compared with Trump, who had 22,500 employees before he was running first time for the presidency, and I doubt that he has as many now, because mafia state was pushing him 40, 50, or 195 lawsuits against him, but not before he announced second term candidacy. Then they started it. What they were waiting for 3 or 4 years before that, that is the question. And Kamala basically never did any private job per se, but all the time on the manger of the taxpayers' money of California and federal government. And basically her brain is I don't know how bright she might be, but she was doing much better than those girls on the street who collect $200, $300, $500 for the sexual services, but she did the services to somebody else without asking money back for return, but she was asking for political favors, and she was having fun with the 61-year-old man who was basically 4 years older than her own father, and we call that sugar daddy, and that is her success. A guy basically put everything for her to be where she is right now, and she didn't hide that. He was admitting that he was the one who created her technically, and now she is one who is going to have a chance to become a president. And if she does, we will be in trouble because we already lost primacy in the world. We have been printing so much money that nobody trusts our money and money print shops any longer, and people will stop investing in our country, which needs some fresh funds. And we have already $35 trillion in debts, which cannot be paid with any first or second generation after us. Maybe 100 years from now will be possible, but in next 100 years less likely. And I don't have much time left for 15 minutes provision of the YouTube to allow me to post something less than 15 minutes. I will have to conclude shortly, but that lady basically never earned something on her own except on the principle of spreading the legs and providing some services without asking cash for the services, but asking political favors, which she did. And now she is in position to run for the president even without a single vote, even from her own state. And who knows what will be outcome of this, but I am afraid it will be dangerous because this country is the only country in the world where citizenry has a weapon in their own hands with 330 million citizens, members of the country. Over 400 million guns are in existence, which nobody could do confiscation. And for injustice, we could rebellion against the government, similar thing which we did it 250 years ago against the British Crown when King was treating us as a subjects, not a human beings. We were slaves. We didn't call ourselves that way, but that was slavery at the time. And basically, our sons and daughters called themselves Minutemen, rebellion, and we won. And now we are a free country. And basically, crown or king was calling those sons and daughters as terrorists, but we were calling them heroes. And I'm afraid that those heroes will come into the place again, and that might be American spring, not Arab spring. We were celebrating Arab spring, but we may not celebrate our own spring or winter or fall season, which may happen if an injustice happen. Citizenry has lots of weapons, and that might be trouble. And that will be just 40 seconds left before 14 minutes. I will have to conclude this one, and maybe I will not even need to edit anything, but take it as is. And I will just now thank to those who may be the viewers of this presentation after I successfully put it on the YouTube. Thank you very much and have a nice day and enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks. Bye.